My brother got me excited about aviation. From there, when you decide to do something, you jump in with both feet, or I do at least.
They wanted to do something more. Concept of building something wrapped around World War II aviation.
I think that I've always wanted to build a museum.
From an early age, 6 or 7 years old, all I wanted to be is around these World War II airplanes.
It's amazing how much goes on behind the scenes here.
The museum as a whole is much more than the airplanes. Everything moves, it comes to life.
A learning environment that hopefully can engage everybody.
Telling the story of the people who were there.
And taking that time in our history, let's not do that again. And I'm going to walk you through what we do every morning to bring the museum to life.
To see it and build it, and then I think in the last 2 years, watch it actually blossom and flourish. There's a lot of museums that are bigger, and I go, absolutely. There's huge museums, but they're not better.
And you take these things that have been sitting out for 40 years in the elements or underwater, you restore them to flying condition using a fair amount of actual parts.
My dad's business went from a couple of guys that were barely making it to a pretty proficient restoration shop, if not the #1 shop in the world, really.
We would say, hey, this is what we need to do, because if not, it's going to take us 6 years to build that project.
So it's quite a feat to restore these airplanes to flying condition. Been fun. It's just been a discussion among friends.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Winged Victory with Rob and Scott, a podcast by the National Museum of World War II Aviation here in Colorado Springs, Colorado.
All right, welcome to the Winged Victory podcast with Rob and Scott. Strangely enough, I'm Rob.
I'm Scott.
And today we're talking to my Spec War brother, Mark Brush.
Good morning.
Had a distinguished career in special warfare helicopters and a whole bunch of other aviation stuff. So completely appropriate.
It's a good career. Got super lucky, no?
Well, sometimes you make your own luck, brother. And we know that.
Sure.
But, and we'll definitely want to talk about your units and your deployments, because talk about distinguished. Now, I always want to fall back on HAL, but you were a member of Helicopter Combat Support 5, HCS 5, 4 deployments in combat?
Yeah, so there's kind of a running joke about that. So HC was Helicopter Combat Support, and HCS was Helicopter Combat Support Special. So I had a Brian Trumbath, had a guy during season that he's, true in his heart HCS, and came in and had the squadron written down as HC. Yeah, so that didn't go over well during chief season, but that was pretty funny. But
yeah.
Yes, so Helicopter Combat Support Special came from HAL, so that's a good place to start.
It is a great place to start.
You want to go?
I'd like to kind of find out, what was that something that you were trying to get into? You were trying to get into airplanes or helicopters? or is it just something that you were just,
No,
you get in the unit and they go, yeah, this is where you're going to belong?
So I got super, super lucky because I've told people, I've just bounced around in this career, got really, really lucky because I had a series of fortunate, accidents, happy accidents that kept me going in a good direction. I enlisted in the Navy in 1991 as a aviation structural mechanic. So started doing, structural structural work on my first squadron. I worked on Hornets. So early, that's why I liked Brian's podcast, and he and I kind of got that Hornet thing, but early alphas, like 16, 17 Bunos, the first series, and did that until 94. And then ended up down at Point Mugu. I had, believe it or not, I had a Seawolf guy named Earl Guthauser. I didn't know what a Seawolf was at the time, but he was my division chief. At VFA 303 was the squadron I was in.
Okay, so an 18 squadron.
Yeah. So he was my division chief. I had no idea what a Seawolf was, but he was looking out for me. Knew that I'm from Southern California, as is Scott.
SoCal boy.
Yep. But he looked out for me and knew that I wanted to be close to my mom and dad, and they lived in Laverne at the time, and got me orders to Point Mugu. So ended up at a Navy Reserve Center at Point Mugu. Did that for a couple of years, and then I was going to get out. 97, I was all set to get out. I was interviewing with Highway Patrol, California Highway Patrol. My dad was a Pasadena City policeman for 33 years. So I was like, well, I'm going to follow in his footsteps. But I had a chief, Todd Rupp, grabbed a hold of me and took me right next door to HCS 5 and sat me in a helicopter, and he goes, you want to be a crewman? What do you think? Yep.
Oh, yeah.
So stayed in. He got me aircrew school. And then, at that time, just not to bore everybody, but non-tactical air crewmen in the Navy were maintainers. So me being an AM, I was also an air crewman and a rescue swimmer. So we were like jack of all trades. We did a whole bunch of stuff.
Yep.
The tactical guys that hunt submarines were AWs. So they had a specific rate for doing that job of hunting subs.
God's work.
Right. So we could both fly and fix the helicopters. So I flew at HCS 5 for 2 years as a dry crewman, non-swimmer, and then went to SAR school in 2000, Pensacola.
Well, that's
search and rescue swimmer school.
I was going to say for us laymen.
Yeah. Sorry.
You guys got a lot of like the abbreviations and letters, and right. I'm just over here going, the alphabet soup. Jerk us right through my brain.
It's that meme with the lady with the numbers that are like floating by her face.
Yeah.
Jerk us up short whenever you need to. But I will say, since Mark probably won't, rescue swimmer is one of the hardest schools in the service, period.
I've seen the movies. They got to sit down on the. Actually, I just watched one. They're sitting down on the bottom of the pool with the kettlebell, and the instructors and all zen. And they're all up dying for air, and he's just like, I can't believe it.
Yeah.
You suckers.
What was that? The Guardian. That was a rescue swimmer movie with. Yeah, I can't remember who was in it.
You're the guy who's going to jump out of the airplane and go get some poor hapless
I miss jumps.
Guy.
Jumps were fun.
So what is it like when you go to a school like that? For somebody like me that hasn't done anything that's that intense, I guess it sounds intense.
So I got real lucky because going back to HCS 5 as a dry crewman, we would train on the weekends at the pool. So when I decided to go to SAR school, the SAR swimmers, grabbed me by it wasn't like I was, completely uneducated. We spent a bunch of time in the pool doing, some of the rescue swimmer maneuvers like breaks, holds, releases.
Mm-hmm.
Did a lot of running, got in real good shape. And so I went back to what they call a fleet returnee, because typically you'll go aircrew school, SAR school, and then out to the fleet, and you'll be a brand new sailor. I'd already been in the Navy for, 9 years by the time I went back to SAR school. So I was the class leader and senior guy. And
the old man.
Got a... Yeah.
You're the guy buying the beer for everybody.
I was looking for a tactical word, but got pooped on a lot.
Yeah.
That's just the nature of being the class leader. But
yep.
Made it through that and back out.
So we alluded to HAL 5.
Yes.
And that was the predecessor of your unit, Helicopter Light Attack. Those units started in Vietnam, flying Hueys in support of boat guys and SEALs. And like a lot of the Vietnam era spec war, including riverboat guys, they were shoved off into the reserves. And it's just like, well, okay, we might need you guys someday, probably not. So yeah, we just park you here.
Just be ready.
And so we worked with those guys a lot, and Mark and I have an acquaintance in common. My childhood friend Rick Coyle was his executive officer when he got to the unit, and I later reconnected with Rick back when we were senior, and he was still doing stuff, and I was just some staff weenie. But the history of units like HCS-5 goes back to Vietnam and some really daring things that those guys did. And
so long story short, it was called Operation Game Warden. Started in 1966, Mekong Delta. They had HC Navy guys flying UH-1B Hueys.
Army.
Right. Got ex-Army Hueys just supporting the PBR boats on the Mekong Delta. In 1967, so it went from being HC, they formalized it, called it HAL 3, Seawolves. Between 67 and 72, so they were commissioned in Vietnam, decommissioned in Vietnam. 24,000 air medals, 44 killed in action. Squadron did amazing stuff, but they shut them down in 72, and then it's the end of Vietnam, and they've got all this hardware and all this expertise. 75, they said, hey, let's stand up a reserve helicopter wing to maintain this expertise.
Yeah.
And then they stood up HAL 4 and HAL 5, so
Right.
Red Wolves and Blue Hawks. But and then it's been, all the way up to 2023, so it's all gone now.
Well, the Navy has a history of doing that. Oh, we'll never need this again.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, oh wait, we need this, and we need it now, and really badly.
Yeah.
It's a cycle. We've all been through it.
Oh yeah.
But so you wound up as a crewman, maintainer, gunner.
Yep.
And
a swimmer.
A little bit of everything.
Yeah, no kidding.
Well,
So
it keeps you.
So now you're a certified swimmer. I guess you can jump out of these things and you go rescue people.
Right.
So when did you get out of SARS? About what time?
2000, late
so
2000.
So is that, you sent me a story that you were a part of, was a rescue mission.
So that was,
It's a little heavy.
It is extremely heavy, and I'll try to encapsulate it a little bit. So I was still a dry crewman at the time.
Oh, okay.
I hadn't gone to SAR school yet. As a matter of fact, this was right before, but Alaskan Airlines 261 that went off the coast, went down off the coast, Channel Islands and Ventura. We were the closest helo asset to that mishap. And the crazy thing, and I love telling the story because it was the most amazing thing I've ever seen, is we had just come in after 2 days off. So all the aircraft are cold steel and parked, and we got to do, it's the same thing as these. We got to do inspections to make them airworthy and get them flying.
Yeah.
That we just come into work at like 3:30, and it was just totally chill. And about 3:45, the maintenance chief came in, and he's like, let's go, let's get them out. We had 4 helicopters and 4 dressed out swimmers, full crews, off the deck in 1 hour. Wow. And that was just seeing people running up and down the flight line. But as everybody knows, by the time we got there, we did SAR for about 12 hours until the Coast Guard took over. But the closest Coast Guard unit was down in San Diego. So, or I think it was LA. But by the time they got up and took over, as on-scene commander, I got my turn about 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, so despite just being, you didn't have the training and everything, they still put you in the water.
No, nobody went in the water for that.
Oh,
no.
Okay.
So what we ended up doing with that, so there's a hard rule that you never go in the water after an inanimate object,
Right.
Which everybody was deceased,
Inanimate.
unfortunately. But we'd hover over whatever we saw and con the boats over to pick up things that were in the water.
Gotcha.
So we just stay over it until they came. It was so, and like Rob's saying, is being Special Warfare Squadron. We didn't get called out on SAR. We did station SAR as far as there was a rotational station SAR at North Island, down in San Diego, but it was. In the years I spent in that unit, I don't think anybody actually ever got a rescue. The guys that are typically getting rescues, Navy-wise, are embarked on a carrier or small boy, going after an aircraft that goes in the water, or just being in the right place at the right time to pick somebody up.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So what does that do to a man when you see something like that? I mean, that's devastation.
So it is.
I mean, obviously, you just learn to compartmentalize it, I suppose. I mean, it's something that our, rescue and just everyday firemen, police have to deal with on a daily basis when it comes to like car wrecks and stuff like that.
So where I feel extremely fortunate with this group. So, and I know we kind of skipped over it, but us being deployed to Iraq from 2003 to 2011. I had 4 deployments. There's guys out there, Brian, who I brought up earlier, Logan Warner, a couple of those guys, that had 11, 12 deployments. I think Logan's got like 27 air medals or something like that. But because this group of guys that deployed with these 2 squadrons was so small, we had the minigun. So the M134, the Gatling gun, 4,000 rounds a minute. It's a lot of fun.
That sounds fun.
That's fun to talk about. It is. But getting qualified on that gun, right, left, day, night, took about 70,000 rounds to just get one guy qualified. And that's if he hit every single card perfect, like every flight, like passed. But having that Gale qualification made these guys extremely unique, where between 2003 and 2011, there was maybe 120, 130 total crewmen that deployed to those deaths. But there's a group of about 20-ish, 25-ish guys that we stayed really, really close.
Well, I should mention that the Air Medal is awarded for combat flights. That's the baseline criterion. Right. And so when you say somebody's wearing 27 of these, that's a lot of combat time.
Right. And it's the accumulating. So there's 2 ways to earn an Air Medal. One is by points. So there's a point system as far as if you fly like a direct action mission, dropping SEALs or team guys on a target, would be like 2 points. You have to get 20 points to get 1 Air Medal.
Okay.
So there's guys that'll accumulate those points over a period of time, and that's called a strike flight Air Medal, which is just a standard.
Right.
A single action Air Medal would be for a single mission, that something that involved valor or something heroic took place, that you get awarded a single Air Medal.
Well, and I think you've got a couple of those, but one of which involved some gunnery. Mm. And so, if you will, we can talk something, because part of the reason that I have us here is these guys had really difficult gunnery problems.
Oh God, yeah.
And for all our audio listeners, he's pointing to the rear gun.
To the rear
SPD.
Yes.
Right.
The twin mount at the back of the SPD, like the twin mount on our Helldiver. Those are free swinging guns. And here's some 18, 19-year-old who's a radioman and all these other things, like you guys were. But he's got to defend the airplane. Now,
and be talented enough not to shoot his own tail off.
Oh my God!
Despite what everybody thinks, they don't have interrupters on them for for the rear tails and whatever. So
no, but he's got a vested interest in not shooting his airplane.
That's the whole
airplane part.
How'd you like to communicate that to your pilot, sir?
Yeah.
What was that, Indiana Jones when he took out the tail?
Yeah.
Well, they shot us, son. They got us. Yeah.
So the one thing I'll say, we've had a couple of exchanges as far as, the nature of aerial warfare and how that's changed now. Air-to-air, like aerial gunnery, doesn't happen anymore.
No.
You know, it's most air-to-air is beyond visual range. You know, the missiles we have now, and aircraft, it's in and out quick. What continues to blow my mind, so there's an organization or a what do you say, a group of enlisted combat Roll of Honor. It's a group that people get accepted and inducted into. And it started off with World War II gunners. Matter of fact, the poster has a Dauntless, and I'll have to find it and show it to you guys, but it was all Navy gunners at first that were inducted into this. But not hitting the aircraft, being target fixated on something while you're flying, so the aircraft's moving and there's something coming in this way and you're trying to shoot at it, but being so target fixated that you don't shoot the aircraft, it blows my mind.
Yeah.
Because everything now has hard stops. Everything is hard mounted, especially in the helicopter where you've got a forward stop and aft stop.
You can only go so far.
Yeah. There's an opportunity to shoot the aircraft, and it's happened before with the M240 and the old M60 where you can lift the pintle mount and swing the gun around, and the muzzle goes into the side of the fuselage, and there's not really anything that, you know, aside from the safety on the gun that'll keep it from firing, and that's happened before. But for the most part, really the thing that blows my mind the most is B-17, B-24, different formations like that, of you're in a formation of 30, 40, 50 aircraft.
Yes.
And you're shooting across the formation. Like, it's not even, like these guys, there might be other aircraft around, you know, and you got to be careful about your
Patriots.
Right, about your accidental fire.
Yeah.
But those guys are flying in a steady formation, tracking, you know, a Messerschmitt or something like that, straight across the formation.
Well, and we will soon have a simulation of that.
Oh, wow.
And that'll be really impressive.
That'll be
That's all the whiz kids from UCCS are back there. And I geeked out a little bit on the gunnery thing when we were talking to Jennifer and Lydia.
Yeah.
But it is, as a couple of gun guys, you know, that bullet is going to hit something.
Well, and I imagine when they were shooting these things too, I mean, they're shooting 30 cals through the air, you know, the deflection from just the air versus what you're shooting out of that thing, what, 4,000 rounds a minute. I'm sure that's a pretty steady stream of, I know where I could put it, you know.
Yes. So even the nature of what we did from the H-60 with the Gale changed over time. There was so much that pre-OIF. So we deployed March 2003. We landed in Kuwait literally the day after shock and awe. So the C-17, so doing Don's podcast, I'm convinced that he flew us somewhere at some point because we used to travel by C-17 and C-5 all the time. But the base was in MOP 4 before we landed. So MOP 4, that's a chemical biological condition where MOP 4 is active attack. So we're getting into all of our chem gear in the C-17 before we landed.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, so that was our wake up. And then for about 2 weeks after we landed, because Saddam was still launching Scuds south. So we get, another good story. So we would get those, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, you're trying to get some sleep and that freaking
alarm goes.
That alarm goes, MOP 4, take cover now. It was just that. You want to talk about PTSD that rings in. If I hear that, it's a very visceral reaction when you hear that. But then that tapered off over time as we got up to Baghdad and, and things calmed down. And, but we were doing training one day in the hangar we were dropping IVs. You got to practice how to drop an IV in somebody, and it's even harder when you're, flying in the back of the helicopter.
IVs.
Yeah, no, I know what he meant.
Okay.
I got that letter. IVs.
but there was we were all sitting there doing training, and there's a Patriot missile battery right next to the hangar, and the sound of a Patriot missile going off the rail and flying eye level along the hangar and hitting a Scud right at the end of the airfield. And then the alarm we're already out and in MOP gear before the alarm even went off.
See all that practice.
I imagine you just get to the point where you're almost sleeping in your gear.
Yeah.
And then you just turn around and put your mask on or something.
That stuff is so awful.
It is. It is.
Only the prospect of dying from nerve gas
is worse
than wearing that stuff.
To make it even worse, they came up with helicopter aircrew CBR gear, of flying in full gear.
Good.
Oh, yeah, that was interesting stuff. But yeah, it was. Where were we going with that?
I don't know.
Well, training, PTSD.
Right,
You're in Iraq.
Scuds are going off.
Right.
But now it's time to get to the real business of HCS 5, and that's insertion, extraction, and support of special operators.
I know where we were going with that.
Yeah.
Before we got to Iraq, we didn't know what we didn't know.
Right.
We were so like out of the loop on, we did play pretend make believe training and this and that, and then you get in country and you start flying with somebody like. So we deployed with it was called the Joint Special Operations Air Detachment, and it was us, TF-160, the Night Stalkers, and 20th and 21st SOS Air Force Special Operations Squadrons flying the MH-53. Which everything in that package that deployed to Iraq in 2003, everything is now retired. All of those aircraft are retired.
That bad.
MH-53 is retired because the Osprey took over. But deploying over there as part of that package, it took us a little while to figure out how we fit into this whole thing. And to be honest, like you say, Night Stalkers, and people go, oh yeah, we know who those guys are, Black Hawk Down, Lone Survivor, stuff like that. With us, we showed up and they were like, who are these guys? Like, Navy Special Operations? Who are these guys? So it took us a little while to find our footing, but we started fitting into the mix, pretty quick, and ended up staying for, two Navy Reserve squadrons staying in Iraq for 8 years, doing some amazing stuff.
Yeah, now, should be noted that people rotated in and out.
Oh, yeah. God, no.
We didn't stick guys over there for 8 years, but the squadrons stayed. For first to pretty much last.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, December 2011, when everybody was out of Iraq, was when we moved out of country.
Yeah.
So, give us a cool story while you're over there, or something that he sticks with you.
Oh God,
that you went through while you were there.
You talked about
good and bad.
The perfect
either or.
The perfect
okay. hop.
So two I can throw in there real quick. So the perfect hop was. So, and you saw that FLIR video. You guys watched that. Yeah. So when we all took off and you saw that line of helicopters that was on the ground, this town, we literally took down a town to go after some IED makers. They had drawn a line straight up the center of the town and said, Army Cav, you get this side, JSOAD, you get this side. So we took off first. So that whole element that was on deck there took off later to take down the other side of the town. But it was a package of 8 helicopters, 3 MH-53s, 3 Limas from the 160th, and 2 of our birds. And we were -8 in an 8-ship flight. So taking off was pretty good, pretty neat to see that all, flight of the Valkyries with all the rotor blades and stuff. But there's nothing cooler to me. So the beginning, you've seen Black Hawk Down, where they're all flying down the beach for the attack. Oh yeah, it's just being in a formation like that, where guns are hanging out, you got the dudes on board, and you're headed inbound.
It's like you got the what's the song that they always play with?
Ride of the Valkyries.
Yeah, it's just like got that song going all the time. Right out of Vietnam.
Right. So long story short is the 53s could carry a lot of people. The Limas could carry, a decent number of people having a larger cabin, but the Limas also only had about 2 hours of gas. So they do the insert, drop everybody on the target, and go sit at the gas pump waiting for the exfil call. We, having the Navy aircraft, extra fuel, we had about 4,600 pounds, which would take us about 3.5 hours-ish, 4 hours. And the FLIR, like we talked about, so the forward-looking infrared, which was installed on Navy helicopters for the Hellfire system. And we ended up using it as like SWAT.
Yeah, that was impressive.
Yeah. So we would essentially, when they would hit the target, the bad guys who don't want to get caught run out the back door, and we would spend the next 3 to 4 hours using with the Spooky overhead with the AC-130 gunship that has better FLIR than us, would spot them. So the light of God, when they would turn on that infrared spotlight, it was incredible because they could pinpoint somebody that was hiding in a canal or a bush or whatever. And then we had a special operations team on board that was mixed American forces and Iraqi forces, so ICTF guys. And land. Once we saw them, get the helicopter in there, regardless of the wires and everything else that was around. Land, kick the team out, wrap the guy up, put him on board, and just keep doing that until we were
lather,
full.
rinse, repeat.
Right.
Yeah, I was kind of amazed when I was watching it because it felt like it was slow motion. Like I'm guilty. You watch the movies, everything's always like, oh, there's our guy, get in there, boom, 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 And it was like, oh, we got 2 in the ravine, we got the other guy in the sagebush, and it just felt like it was like you guys were just hovering there forever, trying to figure out, well, where are the wires, where can we land, how are we gonna attack this? And those guys just sat there.
Yeah.
It's like, I guess there's nowhere else to go in the desert, but
wires because they don't think it's nighttime.
Yeah, they had
It's
no
2 in the
idea
morning.
that
They
they're
don't think
being
they can be seen.
Yeah, and it was like clear as day.
Yeah.
Like you
The
got
heat
those 2
signature.
guys there. That guy's kind of he's scratching his head and
So the one thing that has changed majorly, so that was a mission that went really well. That was like 4 hours. We ended up taking 26 dudes off the target.
Yeah, and then
turned
it
out
was
great.
like flawless.
But the big disconnect was at that time, the aircraft HH-60H was the model Seahawk that we flew, had FLIR, which was infrared, and the gunners had a PEC, which was a laser. So it was a laser sight for the weapons. But there was no laser in the FLIR to be able to point, because they can see the dude in the bush with the FLIR, but to be able to put our eyes on it before we kick the team out the door, because they're looking up at the screen and trying to look out. We're just trying to make sure that we've got the PEC.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering how that was, because in the video you would hear it be like, well, where's the other guy? Oh, he's over there in the, you'd see the thing move over. So it's kind of like, well, is everybody seeing this?
Right.
Or is it on a screen where everybody's got to like look at the screen?
So now the newer helicopters that the Navy is flying have an integrated laser, an optical, where you can hit it with the FLIR but also point. So there was a lot
and
of
then everybody
stuff.
can see it in their helmets, or
Right. The
Okay.
guys that are in the back can see. So the FLIR, they've got the picture of the guy they're looking at, and in the back they can look out and see that laser energy going at whatever they need to go to, because they're lined up.
They're lined up with it.
Right. A lot of, so, again, long story short, so being in Iraq for all those years, and the 2 HCS squadrons became HSC 84 and 85. 84 shut down in 2016, 85 shut down in 2023. But the people that rotated through those units and picked up all of that expertise took that out to the fleet. So there's a lot of guys that moved out into fleet squadrons. So you saw recently the Venezuelan oil tanker that was an MH-60 Sierra Navy crew that did that assault, and guaranteed there was some Firehawk or Red Wolf experience in that aircraft, or at least the tactics that have trickled down over the years.
Yeah, I mean, just kicking ropes out of the airplane.
That was cool.
Is something that's so much better than rappelling.
Yeah, for sure.
But you're right that the expertise remains, and it's part of a legacy of excellence.
Well, none of this means anything if you don't learn
Correct.
from the previous. I mean, that's the whole point, right? Is to get
You
better.
should learn.
Right.
You
And it's
should
just like
learn
you
and
said,
you
they have
should
this
get
laser system which is really bitchin', and you could see, but it wasn't as efficient as it could have been. So
Right.
now it's much more efficient because it's on every platform. So that's something they learn. Yeah, I mean, that's what you need to do.
But
otherwise you're still flying this thing, trying to shoot people down with 30 cals out of the back of it,
I wouldn't have minded if there
I wouldn't.
That would have been cool.
I wouldn't discount the Dauntless.
Yeah.
In 2026, that's still my favorite.
Maybe when the
airplane.
apocalypse hits, we'll be flying this thing around and have air superiority over the renegades.
Yeah, well, could be, but yeah, as you say, it's not like the movies, and the last thing you want is, to endanger a friendly, and so you take the time to make sure, as sure as you can be.
Right.
I mean, let's to not please the warrior's prayer is, please God, don't let me screw up.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing. You'd rather let a guy go than make what could be a tragic mistake. But the advantage of being able to see at night is so profound. Hi, we're here at the National Museum of World War II Aviation in Colorado Springs, Colorado, in front of our B-25, and we'd like to show you something.
All right, you see this dipstick? You see that number right there? It says 37.5. That's not 37.5 quarts, it's 37.5 gallons of oil. And that's just for one engine. So take a look around. And you can see for yourself just how much oil could be required to keep this museum flying. This is where our friends at Blazing Aviation come into play.
Blazing Aviation has been partners with the National Museum of World War II Aviation in Colorado Springs for years now, as well as outfitting the Pikes Peak Regional Air Show. And honestly, without their support and the most competitive pricing on the market, keeping these rare birds in the air on a regular basis would be a much harder proposition. With products such as Aeroshell, aviation oil, and Phillips smoke oil, or just your everyday needs in greases and even de-icing fluids, our friends at Blazing Aviation are ready to help you with your needs at the right price.
Look, whether you're a pilot, maintainer, or an owner, there are just some things that you have to fly that airplane. Why not get those things at the best price from the people you know and trust? Get them from Blazing Aviation. Go to blazingaviation.com, airplaneoil.com, or just give them a call at 888-394-0983. And as always, let them know you heard it here on the Wing Victory podcast. So you started, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
So you started in 91.
Mm-hmm.
When did you finish up your?
2024.
2024.
33 years.
33 years. That's a long time.
Yeah.
But you got out of the main Navy and then went over to reserves, right?
No, I was reserves the whole time.
Or you were reserves the whole time?
Yeah. So, and I think most services have this, but it was considered active reserve.
Yeah.
So in a hardware unit that's reserve, they got to operate the aircraft,
All the time.
365 days a year, and give the reservists some place to come in and do their weekend training and their 2 weeks during the summer, or if we deploy. And kind of a luxury of being in the reserves and being able to retain that talent for years at squadrons.
Yes.
Instead of guys like me that would rotate in every 3-4 years, is reservists will be in units. So like our Navy VR units that are out there flying C-130s and C-40s, which is a 737. There's people that have reservists that have been in those squadrons for 20 years. So that corporate knowledge just continually stays around. So it's called TAR, Training and Administration of Reserves. So
Guilty.
were you TAR?
Oh yeah,
badass.
that's the only way I could get to a special boat unit.
Right.
Because 2/3 of them were in the reserves.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we have that in common too, brother, because 32 years in uniform and not a single day as a regular.
I don't know how much time we got left, but
we got time.
Okay.
Just run it.
So one of the misconceptions out there, so a lot of the niche missions like special operations or logistics, flying cargo, kind of gets relegated to the reserves, but the reserves excel at it because of the TAR element that are in those units. But what a lot of the fleet doesn't understand, the active duty folks out there, so say like, HSC 8, all of their sailors are all active duty, so if they do, hey, we got a report, everybody shows up. But they're manned at, say, just an arbitrary number like 200 people. We are at 200 people also because we're an aviation unit, but 70 of those people are reservists. So typically it's 130 TARs that are doing what 200 sailors do in an active duty unit does, during the course of a month, and keeping the aircraft flying and doing training.
But one of the things that people don't ever think about is those reservists have other skills, other lives, and they bring that in addition to, some guy might be a structural mechanic as a reservist and, oh, by the way, I run an HVAC unit or business, right. And guess what? Our chilled water just broke.
Well, it kind of sounds like working around here where, you we only got 4 people working in the restoration shop, so you can't just be specialized.
Right.
You know, you got to have your hand in a little bit of everything. So it just makes you a much more well-rounded person, I think.
For sure.
So it makes you much more valuable too.
Right.
I'm guessing, right? They want to keep you around as long as they possibly can.
Absolutely. And even in the particular VR squadron that I spent a lot of time in was VR 57, Conquistadors out in North Island. But we had reservists that were mechanics for Southwest, were working over at Lindbergh Field. That would come over to us, and they know that fuselage, they know the systems in that aircraft like inside and out. So they were vital, to the success of those squadrons.
You get a little bonus. Again, maybe inferiority complex or whatever, but the regulars, it's like, oh, well, you're just a part-time guy. Well, in some respects, yes.
So I know that you kind of went through some medical issues after you got back from Iraq, right?
Yeah.
You went through the medical issues and you still stayed a reservist for many years afterwards.
Yeah, got really lucky. Well, so it all happened around the same time when I got diagnosed. I still can't say 100% for sure.
That it's burn pits?
That it was burn pits. It might have been. I mean, I spent 4 months at one point just downwind of it, where it was you go like this and you couldn't see your hand in front of your face because the smoke was that thick.
At some point, you just got to be like, here's the evidence.
Yeah.
The likelihood is probably pretty
Scott,
high.
We're still arguing over Agent Orange.
Right. When I got home from that third deployment in 06, they make you do this post-deployment health survey. And on there, I wrote concerned about the smoke that we were exposed to. And it wasn't even 7-8 months later that I got diagnosed. And all I found, I had my hand on my shoulder one night, and I just felt a lump just right there.
Yeah.
And went in and got it checked out, and it was Hodgkin's lymphoma. So 5 months of chemo and a month of radiation, and I was finished radiation in January and was back to work in February. But
fortunately, it sounds like you found it pretty quick, huh?
Yeah.
So you
got
were
lucky.
able to really hit it.
It's important to
you got to find that sooner the better.
Pay attention to those. So I don't know if we want to fast forward to how'd you wind up here? I mean, you're not in California anymore. Toto.
No. So and I'll try and make this as short as possible.
No,
so
you don't have to do that. I want to hear it.
Okay.
Let's hear it.
So I got into airplanes, really. It was me and my dad sitting and watching Black Sheep Squadron on TV, saw the Corsairs, absolutely fell in love with them. Like I told you, my dad built a model of Pappy Boyington's airplane, probably Revell or Monogram, I don't know, but I still have it. So kind of makes me smile when I see it. But got into it after that. I think we went to our first Chino Air Show in like '78.
Oh, wow.
So I started seeing, I brought the album, I'll show you later, but started seeing
I might have been
Warbids
at
and being
that air
around them.
show.
You probably were. You were.
I was
Never
3
mind.
years. I was 3 years old, so I wasn't.
I was gonna say you were probably in your 40s.
Late 30s.
But so I got into airplanes, and then the biggest thing was, which I'm sure was for you too, Scott, was Top Gun when that came out. My dad took me to see it in '86 and was like, oh my God, Tom. So in the back of my mind, because I was into G.I. Joe at the time, I had a Sky Striker at home, and I go home and I go, it's an F-14. Oh my God.
Yeah.
So, got all excited about that. But, 90, graduated high school, didn't know what I was going to do. I think, a lot of people go through that. And then 91 said, I'm going to join the Navy. So jumped into it after that. But have always had a love for warbirds, have always had a love for history. I told you about the stuff at Point Negeu, and as an E5 taking on the Missile Museum up there and getting to restore stuff, and had a lot of fun doing that. But have just always been into history and classic airplanes. And came here. So my wife, her dad was stationed at Peterson in the 60s. She grew up in Manitou. We met in San Diego in 2021. She took she was Navy also. She's Navy retired. Took a set of orders out here, and we did 3 years apart, but she had a great job out here. And then I moved out. Kind of like you guys moving out here with the museum, I moved out here to be with her.
Yeah.
And I think it was 2021 we came through here and looked around and was like, oh yeah, I'm going to come back here when I move out and see if I can get on board. So.
Well, and you have, because not only are you doing great things with Scott, but you're a docent.
That's actually how he started, and then he came over and he's like, "Hey, I want to do this." And then he started telling me, like his background and what he's got, and who, and I was like, "Yeah, I want you to do this as well."
Right.
Well, because typically when you go over there and say, "I'm a docent," they say, "Put your hands in your pockets, don't touch a thing, because you're going to break something."
Well, it's so kind of the story of that, like I was telling you a second ago, is you progress through the ranks, you basically promote out of doing the stuff you absolutely love to do.
Oh, yeah.
So by the time you make E6 in any branch of service, you're a supervisor.
Now
you're not on the flight line, and then you become chief in E7, E8, E9. I made Master Chief in 2012. So I did 11 years as a Command Master Chief. And I did a year as a Maintenance Master Chief, and there's that one I think I sent you the picture of it, but when you're the Maintenance Master Chief, you can go out on the flight line and do stuff even though you're not supposed to. I'm like, I know these aircraft. I'm like, get out of the aircraft. But missing doing the hands-on, like I can go over there and you're like, hey, let's do compression checks. I'm like, okay, cool. I don't have to be in charge of an entire squadron. I'm not dealing with, some of the stressors that come with that. It's just getting to work on aircraft again.
That's kind of what you're doing at your house too, because you're doing the dirt bike and or street bike restoration type stuff, and then you're kind of doing that as a little bit of a side hustle.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's actually a little bit of a business for you.
That's another thing we have in common is the racing in Southern California. So it's
well, that's how I think we first connected, because we were talking. I was telling you about my dad and the stuff that I was doing, and then you were like, oh yeah, look, this, I did all this stuff too, and so I had no idea even about what you did in the service.
Right.
It was all about motorcycles and whatnot.
Well, and I'll just, for your edification and other folks, a Command Master Chief is, first of all, the representative for all the poor downtrodden enlisted people. Defending them from the officers. But he's also, well, and one of the good things about when you get rank and you see something, you can fix it too, but you're also kind of father confessor.
Yes.
And, my wife just left me and she had a power of attorney, and you are handling all of those tragedies for people. You are the court of last resort.
So a really important thing that was told to me several times along the way is never forget where you came from. And people that move up through the ranks, you take on a lot of responsibility, and it gets tough with the stress to remember those E1s and E2s that are down there in the trenches that have a voice, they've got things to say, and contribute. And you can go talk to those guys and you get some great ideas from them. But there's sometimes, especially in today's day and age with all the programs we got to manage and some of the, disciplinary stuff that takes place in squadrons and just administrating the squadron. Like there's so many programs that you're in charge of that it's hard to make time to go down and, hey, what's going on?
What's up?
So it got to the point with me, and if any of my I call them my kids, but if any of my kids are watching, I had a couch at when I was at HSC 85. I had a couch when I was at VR57, and come in and close the door and just talk. Hey, what's going on? What can I help you with? And some people that had some serious struggles and some things that were going on. But so when you're asking about this place, it wasn't just getting to work on airplanes. It's getting to be part of a team of people having that purpose again after retirement of, and I mentioned that when we had a Christmas potluck, is just that sense of, you go from being this like useful tool to sitting on the couch and going, what do I do with my hands? And coming here and having the docents and now, helping out with the aircraft.
It's a pretty tight group.
Yeah, it's an incredible sense of purpose.
Especially over in the maintenance area and stuff. I mean, we've had the same basic group of people for years now, because you don't really want a lot of overturn over there.
Right.
Because you don't want to be constantly trying, you're constantly teaching and everybody's learning and stuff constantly, but you're trying to up that.
You broke in really fast.
Yeah, well, he's got
got
a background.
I've told that to a few people.
We got people over there that didn't even know how to hold a tool. Now they're working on stuff because you've been able to teach them. Well, if you got somebody that skip the first 10 steps. It makes my life a lot easier. Right. So
yeah, in my case, it'd
he's
be 12.
A good dude. I mean,
he's tolerable.
He's like, hey, he's the first one. It's like, hey, I want to cook a brisket and bring it in for everybody. So hey, everybody bring some food in. Let's have some lunch. Tomorrow or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's just it's camaraderie, and he brings that. Because he's lived it. Yep. You've had to live it. You've lived and died. Die with your guys and girls or whatever. But your people, and it's not quite to that extreme over there or here. But it's
no,
it is. It is in some ways.
Like you're saying, you see it, most of you docents and a lot of the people that volunteer here, they're retired military, and you see that where they were kind of like, now what? And then they get here, and all of a sudden there's another sense of purpose, because you're not just. I mean, you went to the leads meeting with me yesterday.
Yes, sure did.
It's not just, I'm going to come in and just talk about cool stuff. Like, a lot of stuff gets thrown on your shoulders when you're here because it's all volunteer run, and it doesn't work if we don't have the volunteers doing it, and we want to make this thing bigger. So it gives everybody a real sense of purpose, like being.
Oh, absolutely. And this is, as we always say, this is the happy place for us, and we want to keep going. We're lucky to have people walk through the door who are willing to do anything. I mean, Nicole started out sweeping floors,
scrubbing
toilets, and hopefully, maybe somebody's going to see this and, oh, hey, well, we could do this.
Yep, you can.
But
whether it's here or any other museum, you don't have,
Oh yeah.
You're living in Georgia or something, go find your local museum over there and do the same thing.
There are a ton of museums out there that would love to have that volunteer help.
Well, and like you're saying, you've been doing some stuff out of Pensacola, right?
I have. So another long story trying to make short. So the model helicopter that we flew, the HH-60H, was built in conjunction with the Jayhawk, the Coast Guard Jayhawk. They're the same basic airframe. When we retired the hotel in 2019, the Coast Guard bought them all. So they're converting them, or have been converting them, into Coast Guard birds.
Got to have that racing stripe.
It makes my heart happy. So the one picture I sent you with the bird that was up on its side, so that got rebuilt. It redeployed to Iraq a couple of times. The Coast Guard bought it, converted it, and it is 6054. It is a Coast Guard MH-60 Tango now out there flying, still flying, saving lives. Yeah. So it's because the Coast Guard bought them all, 2015, the head of, NavAir's like the big group out in Patuxent River that oversees all Navy aviation and such. The lead of the helicopter program out there, I said, hey, we got to preserve one. So we set B&O's 163787 is an HH-60H that we set aside for preservation. Got it down to Pensacola last year. And they're going to repaint it, and it'll be the only, when the Coast Guard gets done converting all the hotels, it'll be the only example of an HH-60 left, and it has just over 1,018 hours of combat time. So been helping them out. There was a lot of, because the hotel had retired, 6-7 years ago, there was a lot of mission-mounted stuff that we had to dig up through networks to outfit the helicopter the way that it looked in Iraq. I think they're gonna do it in like a 2004 Iraq time period. So it'll be miniguns, some of the mission equipment.
And so it's not just, our focus is obviously World War II and aircraft like the Dauntless and the PBY behind us, but preserving history goes on.
Absolutely.
And, we see that. You helped, you got to ride an actual Seawolf bird.
Yep.
And so history's not just finite. We're all living a part of history.
Yeah.
And you need to preserve.
So the one plug that I'll put out there for this museum is it's living history. because everything, that's the most amazing thing when
Isn't
I
it?
walked in here,
Yeah.
is everything is airworthy. And it's mind-blowing when you walk around and people see the drip pans and go, why is it leaking? And you have to explain
Because
it
it
to
has
them.
oil.
Lifeblood.
Right. But it's, it's not just history, but the fact that this museum keeps history alive by operating is mind-blowing.
Well, Mark, my last question is, where can people find you if they want to get touch, or you got any social media?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, so for the bike shop, MB Cycles is here in Colorado Springs. You can find that on, just type it in Google. That's been picking up pretty quick. Got a couple of bikes I'm working on right now for people. Another side thing that I didn't really mention is my ex's, long story, ex's father-in-law was a motorcycle racer in the 40s, 50s, and 60s.
Yeah.
So I ended up with a huge collection of his stuff. His name was Sonny Angel. But if you go on Instagram or Facebook, there's pages for him too. You just type in Sonny Angel, and it's motorcycle history. Incredible, from Southern California. He raced the Isle of Man in 1960.
That's a man's
Bonneville,
race.
dude, Bonneville in 1955 on a Vincent Rapide, went 144 miles an hour, right around the time that Raleigh Free did 150. But that's another thing, so you can look it up there. And then I run a page on Instagram called Firewolf HCS, which is all pictures of what we did. I'm the big history guy for our community as well, so I've got a couple terabytes of videos, and
So you're in the perfect spot.
Yes.
Yep.
This is perfect for you.
Yep. I'm not happy if not completely overwhelmed and overtasked. So.
Well, sure.
Well, Mark, it's been a pleasure meeting you. It's been a pleasure having you here. I really appreciate everything that you do for us already. I mean, it's been short, but it's been great, and I expect it's going to be a long relationship.
Yeah,
That's the plan.
Thanks for taking me on board, man.
So thanks
Appreciate
for coming
it.
out here and doing
Thanks, brother.
our
Yeah,
podcast.
for sure.
Appreciate it, Mark.
Yep.
Well, as you mentioned, there are a whole bunch of retirees at this museum because of where we are. Most of them are Air Force.
Yeah.
We're certainly well represented by the Army too. But, for the longest time, there was one Navy guy at this museum. And now we're getting a bunch of them, but to have a brother from Special Warfare, and especially an accomplished one like Mark, was a treat for me, because those are my brothers.
Yeah.
And I don't get to spend much time with them being out here.
Yeah. I'm pretty fortunate I get to spend Saturdays and hear some of the stories, and some of the stories that we can't put on the podcast and stuff like that. But
yeah, there are those that should never see the light of
but you
podcast.
could just tell, he ran an entire gamut throughout his career. Like, he did so many different things that it probably really, was something that kept life fresh for him.
Well, and part of it is luck of the draw. I mean, I'm just going to join the Navy and go where it takes me. But we've all had those people who looked out for us.
Well, and that's a testament to the person. Because,
yeah, exactly.
Because people won't go out of their way to like, hey, I want to help you, or I want to put you in a good position if you're not showing them that you're worthy of
exactly.
that.
Exactly.
So, I mean, that just tells you, so when you talk to somebody who's had a series of fortunate events, it's not just luck.
No.
It's a referendum on the person and who they are.
Perfect word, referendum.
Thank you. I did go to school. Well,
hey,
I made it through high school anyway.
Well, don't let high school interfere with your education.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, in a sense, people do make their own luck.
Oh, absolutely. I believe that.
They show something and somebody sees that quality, and then it's like, okay, I'm going to help this person.
Yeah.
And you earn that, and it's such a great thing to earn.
Yeah, and it's something I've instilled in my kids since day one. Just if you're going through tough stuff or whatever, just put your head down.
Yeah.
And just work. And I don't mean necessarily actually work, but I mean, just keep moving forward, keep trying to keep doing, and then eventually you put your head up and you're in a much better place. Yeah. And that's what happens with people that they do the fortunate thing because they just keep putting in the right work, and they're the right kind of people, and they have the right attitude, and it's something that you see when he comes over here and you insert him in, and it's just like, you just people fit right in. Oh. Edit.
Yeah. Post.
So, and that's what you see in people when they come out here. And we're fortunate because we get to see the best of the people that come out here, because the people that want to be here and the people that want to volunteer and the people that want to help, that's the best.
Are the ones we want to have here.
They're the best people, because the people that aren't doing that, they're not coming out here to volunteer,
no, they're
in
not.
my opinion.
They're not.
So, I mean, it's just fortunate that we get to spend time with, man. Sorry.
Okay,
You allergic to me or something?
Nah. But we're coming up on a healing voice, but not healed.
Yeah.
So we just went to a meeting where a lot of our air show stuff got discussed, and the closer I get to all this, the more I understand just how much has to be done, in particular by you and your dad. But by the time this drops, there'll be a week or two before tickets go on sale.
Yeah, tickets are gonna go live, I believe, on February 25th. And I can't remember, honestly, because I went through so many meetings yesterday. I can't remember if that's just when they're gonna drop for the general public, or if you're a member of the museum, which really doesn't cost much at all, you get 24 hours in advance ticket sales for VIP, which I'm going to tell you, VIP last time sold out.
In a day.
Not in a day, in minutes.
Yeah.
So if you want that canteen experience where you're up front on the line, you have covered, you have food, drink, it's all included, your own restrooms, it's really worth the money. And it's going to go fast. So, go to Pikes Peak Regional Air Show online, just Google it. You're going to want to, if you're coming out to the air show, which is going to be a pretty fantastic air show, again, it's always one of the best air shows in the region for sure. Just get online and get those tickets, because you're going to want to get them, because it's going to sell out. This whole weekend's going to sell out. And honestly, I mean, we were even talking about the price of the tickets and stuff. I mean, we do this every 2 years, and as everybody probably knows out there in the world, everything's gotten a little more expensive in the last couple of years. So our price hasn't even really changed.
No.
I mean, we've been able to keep the price at a pretty low level. I mean, considering what you get for an entire day's worth of aviation and just entertainment, and it's nothing, in my opinion.
Well, beyond that, yes, the VIPs sold out in minutes, but the whole air show sells out in a couple of days.
Well, it won't be a couple of days, but they definitely have a tiered system. So if you want the cheapest price, you
go early.
Get it early, and it's not a time thing. It's when they sell out a certain amount of tickets, then the price is going to go up a little bit.
Sure.
And it's not a lot. I mean, it's a couple of dollars, really. By the time it gets to the end, it's a little more expensive, and you'd want to try to save as much as you possibly can and make sure you get those tickets so that you're there. Because I'm telling you, last air show, I can't tell you how many people hit me up a week or two before. Hey, how do I get tickets to this thing? And it's like, it's gone. It's long gone. So you're gonna want to get them for sure. And part of the air show helps fund what goes on around here, including the new building that's being built. So we have the 40,000 square foot pavilion here, and we're adding another 40,000 square feet. And we got the majority of the funding, but we're still short a little bit.
Yeah.
So if you like to check the link where you found the podcast, then that'll help, donate every little bit helps. The air show, some of that helps towards the building as well. And all it's going to do is just going to help us expand. We're going to be able to get some more aircraft in here. But the big thing is it's going to move some of our training aircraft out of the one hangar, and that's going to become an A&P school. So it's just going to continue to help, the industry.
Truly.
build.
Truly.
So I'm really excited about it.
Can't tell.
Yeah, not at all. So I guess that's about it.
Yes,
So
sir.
I'd like to thank Mark Brush, and again, you could check him out on all of his social media and website. I really do recommend that you go and check out, if you're into motorcycles at all, the guy's got talent. I mean, this stuff is, I kind of dabbled in that for a while, where I was restoring bikes and stuff too, and I couldn't touch that level. So,
well, motorcycles have always terrified me and continue to do so, but the Firehawk page,
yeah,
that's where I'll be going. So William will post that stuff.
Yeah, we'll have it all on the page where you found the podcast,
and
whether it's audio or video.
Speaking of William, once again, he's
making me look better and making you sound better. So if we can't do it without him, so thank you, William Stephenson, behind the camera, my co-host Rob Gale, and myself, Scott Clares. Stay safe out there.
Do.